Well, our oven is preheated to 485. We have our lidded pot in the oven, also getting preheated, and our bread is doubled in size. So let's do that poke test to see if we're ready to bake. So once again, if you put your finger and it leaves an indentation instead of springing all the way back, this dough is ready to bake. There's one final step before we put this risen dough into the pot. We need to make some slashes in the top, which allows the full expansion of the bread. This is a razor sharp lam, they call it. You can use a razor, you can use a sharp knife, but what we're going to do is go about ½ inch deep, kind of at an angle, and putting 3 slashes in the top. This is going to allow the bread to rise. So now we're ready to put it in the pot and bake our French boule. So let's take our bread and put it into the pot for baking. Using some good hot pads, I lift up the loaf of bread by the edges of the paper, gently set it in to the hot pot, cover it, and put it back in the oven. At this point, I'm going to immediately turn the oven down to 425 and set my timer for 30 minutes. At the end of the 30 minutes, we'll take the lid off. There's our timer for 30 minutes. Wearing good quality hot pads, we're going to take the lid off of our pot. Continue to bake for another 20 to 35 minutes to develop a nice brown color on top. The other test to know if your bread is done is when you take it out and tap it on the bottom. If it sounds hollow, it's completely baked. Do this next step at your own risk. But what I like to do is take the bread out of the pot, finish baking on a pizza stone, and what it does is it gives me a more uniform crust over the entire bread. Again, this is only an option. Using good hot pads, and take it out of the pot, remove the paper, and put it back in the oven. Now we'll let it go until we get that desired color. Dark brown is still alright, there's a lot of good flavor in a dark bread. Or if we tap it on the bottom and it sounds hollow, that bread is done. I like it a little bit browner than that. I'm going to give it another 10 minutes. Well, it's been about 37 minutes since I took the lid off, so that's a little bit over an hour total baking time. Turn the oven off, and let's see what we have. I like to put my bread onto a metal trivet so that it doesn't sweat on the bottom and have moisture on it. I also don't like to cut it until it's cool. If you can't resist and you have to sample it and you want that butter to just melt right on that new freshly baked artisan loaf of bread, you can cut it, but at the risk of drying it out, because when you cut it when it's warm, the moisture has a place to escape. Right now, this crust is very crispy. Here's the doneness test. Sounds hollow, and that's a hard, beautiful artisan loaf. So let me just press this to see if you can hear it, because I can hear it crackling as it's cooling. I hope you can hear how crispy and wonderful this bread turns out with the method that I just taught you how to do. I wish you well. I wish you good luck on your baking. Enjoy this wonderful bread. email me. Let me know how things are working out, or if you have any questions. Happy baking! Well, the bread is cool. It's time to slice it. The structure of the interior of the loaf, or the holes, that's called the crumb, as we mentioned earlier. As you can see with this bread, we had a very good rise. The holes are fairly consistent. This is a decent crumb. We continue to slice. I think you can hear the crunchy crust. Our country bowl is a success. A bread like no other you've had before. Enjoy!